that color. And she would just give me a little bit of water, which really frustrated me. But I understand now why, of course.
Yeah.
And I have drawn and painted, from when I was raising a family. Of course, I didn't have any time really, but the rest of my life I've spent a lot of time drawing and painting and enjoyed it. I lived most of my life at the coast. A lot of my life I lived on Pender Island near Victoria. And then when my husband died, I decided I would come up here because I had two daughters living here. And I enjoy living in the mountains. And I always like going back to the ocean too.
What do you enjoy most about art?
I think it's a challenge because I never seem to paint something that I'm entirely satisfied with. And I think I'm always trying to find something that is going to be perfect. It never is quite. It never is quite perfect. And I enjoy doing scenery because I'm very much in touch with the outdoors and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I enjoy that. I find Valemount is a very nice place to live. It's quite different from the coast, really, but I like both,
Yeah.
and I enjoy living in Valemount. I like it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't ever remember worrying about what the future would bring. I just lived from day to day and enjoyed what I was doing, and yeah,
It's
yeah.
great. What was it that made you realize that art was important to you?
I don't know. These are very difficult questions, because I
I'm
think it was
sorry.
always important to me,
Okay.
and I always liked doing it, and I always did quite a lot of painting, really. I used to draw pictures for my brothers and sisters because I was the eldest one in the family. And whenever they wanted a picture for anything, I would draw it for them. Yeah, yeah. I know today if you do an art show, you're supposed to tell why you're doing it, but I only paint because I like to paint. I mean, there's no other reason.
Hello, and welcome to the Blonde Diaries. I am your chief blonde correspondent, Roslyn. Since we just started the show, and may have missed out on events throughout the year, I thought I would give you a recap. In January, a blonde took her scarf back to the store because it was too tight. In February, a blonde was fired from her pharmacy job when she failed to print the labels. Well, only to figure out that the bottles would not fit into the typewriter. In March, a blonde got very excited because she finished her jigsaw puzzle in 6 months, but the box said 2 to 4 years. In April, a blonde got trapped on the escalator for hours when the power went out. In May, a blonde tried to make Kool-Aid and then realized that 8 cups of water will not fit into one of those packets. In June, a blonde tried to go water skiing and couldn't find a slope on the lake. In most recent news, in about July, there was a blonde who decided to go into her kitchen. She was going to make the most excellent smoothie ever. She got all the ingredients out and was so happy because it was going to taste delicious. So she put all of the ingredients into the blender and turned the blender on. Kaboom! A big crash happened. So she couldn't figure out what was wrong. Her mom came into the kitchen and said, "What's wrong with you? Did you leave the lid off? What happened here?" Well, they started to clean up, and the blonde picked up a big glass shard off the counter, looked at the blender, and realized there was a big hole missing from the blender. Well, her mom went over, reached into the blender, and pulled out a spoon. Recently, I told this story to another blonde of my kind, and she told me that the same thing happened to her. Well, let me tell you, I definitely learned my lesson from this. Now, go out, be bold, and be blonde. But be careful, you may end up on the Blonde Diaries. If you happen to hear or see of any blonders, that's right, bloopers, only blonde, feel free to call VCTV at 250-566-8288. Or, if you would like to appear as a guest on the show and be interviewed by me, you may call as well.